You're listening to the Cool Audio Podcast, your escape into the world of stories, sounds, and imagination. Whether you're driving, chilling at home, or just need a moment to unplug, we've got a story just for you. So sit back, relax, and let the journey begin. Case finally came back from his business trip. Tiani ran over and hugged Case's legs just as she had done when she was little. Dad. No one knew when it began that Tiani called Case Dad instead of Uncle Chase. Case touched her head. You are taller. Yeah, Dad, you have to buy many new clothes for me. The old ones are too small, Tiani cooed. No problem, but your mom Zuri has all my money. She buys everything for the family. Case looked at Zuri, who stood not far from him with love in his eyes. After getting back together with Zuri, to show his sincerity to the Blake family, he had transferred all of his money and properties to Zuri. She was even the biggest shareholder in the company. The Chase family had no objections, and the Blake family thought it was well done. Case only had credit cards with all the money in Zuri's bank accounts. Mom Zuri has bought many things for me. I can't let her spend more money on me. Indeed? What did you buy? Taking off his jacket, Case walked into the house. As Tiani spoke all kinds of sweet words to make Case and Zuri happy, they looked like a happy family. Tiani never mentioned a word about her own mother, Brenny. There was nothing about Brenny in the house, not even a photo. It was 10 p.m. Tiani returned to her room as the couple went to their bedroom. Case had been on a business trip for days and felt he had been away from Zuri for a long time. Upon entering their room, he held her from behind impatiently. What are you doing? I want to make love to you. Despite his silent personality, Mr. Chase could be very seductive when the mood struck him. Afterwards, Zuri lay in his arms in happiness. Zuri, you can't spoil Tiani by buying all the stuff she asks. I noticed you spent lots of money on her in the last couple of days. She likes those things, but she's just a kid. We can't make her into a materialistic person. We can afford it, but I don't want her to grow into a money-loving woman who likes to show off her fortune. I don't think so. Tiani looks to be a thoughtful girl. Zuri thought Case was over-exaggerating the situation. Case had been worried that Zuri would object to his kindness to Tiani, but now it turned out that she spoiled the child more than he did. He was now even worried about it. Anyway, you must be careful. Don't turn her into... Case wanted to say, don't turn her into a woman like Brenny, but he stopped since he thought it not wise to mention Brenny in front of her. He turned and held Zuri in his arms tightly. At 11:30 p.m., Jack went to his study after the twins fell asleep. But Pudding and Little Bean were not asleep. They had pretended to be asleep to fool their daddy. Sis? Yeah, you're not asleep either? No, Pudding whispered. What are you thinking? What about you? Pudding turned her head to Little Bean in the darkness. The atmosphere is weird in our home lately. Mommy used to tuck us to bed since Daddy is busy with work. Now Daddy has to work and tuck us to bed too. Yeah, Pudding sighed slightly. Mommy is in the hospital, but Daddy doesn't keep her company. Yeah. Sis, do you think they'll divorce? I'm terrified, Little Bean said in a small voice. I guess not. Daddy said he'd never divorce Mommy, Pudding said as she thought of her daddy's love for her mommy. Sis, don't deceive yourself. You and I both can see that their relationship is in crisis. They are cold to each other. Mommy is warmer to Captain Cooper than to Daddy. I don't know what has happened. It's terrifying. I think a storm is coming. It's not that serious. Stop thinking of the worst. Pudding soothed her sister, but she felt uncertain herself. Sis, I want to hold your hand. It showed how insecure Little Bean felt. Pudding turned and reached out her chubby hand. In the darkness, she held her sister's hand. Sis, to be honest, if Daddy and Mommy divorced, whom would you choose to live with? Pudding's heart sank. She had never considered this issue since she had never imagined that their parents would divorce. I don't think things will come to that. Don't worry. I said if. Tell me. I want to know your answer, Little Bean insisted. From the current situation, I might choose Daddy. Pudding couldn't name her feelings, but she just couldn't feel close to their current mom, especially after this mom hit Pudding and scratched Pudding's face with her fingernails. The most shocking thing was that Khloe hadn't even asked if Pudding felt painful or not, if the wound would leave a scar on her face. Her behavior turned Pudding's heart cold. How about you, little bean? Whom would you choose? Uneasily, Pudding asked her sister the same question. I'll choose whomever you choose. I don't want to be separated from you as shown in the TV series in which two kids each go to different parents and don't see each other until many years later. I love you, sis, and don't want to be separated from you. I argue with you and even get angry with you sometimes. I'm even occasionally jealous of you when you have good stuff. But these are trivial things. No matter what, I love you deeply, sister. I don't want to be separated from you. As she said it, Little Bean tightened her grip on Pudding's hand. With her heart aching for her sister, Pudding touched her sister's face. Little Bean, don't be afraid. I promise you I'll never be away from you, no matter what happens. Good. It was the first time that the sisters had such a melancholic conversation. If their father Jack heard it, he'd feel heartbroken and weep. At this moment, he was in the study talking to Noah on the phone. When did it happen? An hour ago? An adult just vanished? Jack frowned. Yeah, a couple of days ago, a few children went missing, but now even an adult disappeared. Everyone in the first hospital is alarmed. Noah had a huge headache. Many people went missing, but he couldn't even find their bodies. It was frustrating. Can't the police dogs smell anything? Jack believed those missing people were killed, just as James had killed his victims. But police dogs should be able to find something about the bodies with their acute sense of smelling. We brought in the police dogs but found nothing. Something probably concealed the scent and affected the dog's judgment. Jack, this case is getting weirder each day. I have a feeling that there's a perverse killer, man-eater, or even vampire in the city. No, in the first hospital. Maybe you should transfer Stella, your mother-in-law, and Khloe to South Side. It's too dangerous in the first hospital. Hearing Noah's words, Jack fell silent for a long while. He couldn't tell Noah that Khloe was the monster, right? On the other side of the earth, in the palace on the bottom of the ocean. There were no devices or calendars to show the passage of time. Khloe couldn't remember how long she had been imprisoned in this place. She had only seen Lynn a few times, but she was more familiar with Messiah. The more she knew about her, the higher she thought of the servant. At least Messiah didn't look as expressionless as the other robot-like servants in this place. Khloe had been stunned for a long time after she learned that Fiona and herself had different mothers. She didn't care that they had different mothers, but was astonished that Fiona was Lynn's clone's child. Strictly speaking, she was a daughter of a human and a clone. Probably even their father didn't know that Fiona's mother was a clone. How could Lynn trick their father, who had an extremely high IQ? Khloe had lots of questions. Meanwhile, she was worried that Layla might hurt her family. Miss Khloe, the master has asked you to have supper with her. Messiah walked in, holding a drape with tassels for Khloe. The things in this place were all exquisite. The glittering drape looked to be made of gold threads. When she put it on, it felt smooth and comfortable. Without a word, Khloe followed Messiah and walked toward Lynn's room. Upon entering, she was surprised by what she saw. Lynn didn't wear the queen's attire or the crystal mask. She didn't look like a lofty queen today. Instead, she wore only a coffee-colored dress and black high heels. With her wavy hair, she looked like an elegant and gentle mother. At this moment, she was sitting at the dinner table making dumplings. There was flour and dumpling filling on the table. "Khloe, come on in," Lynn said to her with a smile. Warily, Khloe walked over and glanced at the stuff on the table and then at Lynn. "What are you doing?" "Messiah said you don't have much appetite and want to eat dumplings. Unfortunately, the servants don't know how to make dumplings. Some of them have never seen dumplings before. So, I decided to make dumplings for you. Your dad likes to eat pork and celery dumplings. We lived in the Jin area for a while and had dumplings almost each day. We didn't stop until we had our fill." Lynn talked about this memory with a chuckle. She looked like an ordinary mother who was close to her daughter. Khloe found Lynn at this moment was indeed more approachable than before. Without a word, Khloe sat down with her big belly across from Lynn and began making dumplings. "You're pregnant and must eat something nutritious for the baby's health." Lynn smiled. "When are you going to let me go?" Khloe asked her. "You don't like this place? You don't want to live with me? Why do you want to leave?" "I miss my home. I miss my husband and daughters. Someone is taking care of them. Don't worry." You mean that psycho Layla? Layla won't hurt them. She just replaced me shamelessly, right? Miss Lynn, you love playing the game of switching clones with the originals, huh? Hearing Khloe's words, Lynn's face turned stiff and her smile disappeared gradually. Putting down the dumpling she was making, she picked up a damp towel and wiped her hands. Khloe, do you know whom you are talking to? Of course. I'm talking to an original, not a clone, Khloe said sarcastically. Miss Khloe. Messiah moved over, trying to stop Khloe from angering Lynn. But Lynn stopped her. Messiah, get out. I need to talk to her privately. Yes, master. After Messiah was gone, Lynn didn't continue making dumplings. She stood up. Tell me, Lynn, what on earth do you want? You've been alive all these years, as the queen at this place, but didn't try to find my dad or me. Now you suddenly remember us. What are you up to? What's your purpose? Khloe, we won't talk about this today. I'll ask you a question and you must answer me honestly. Khloe was silent. Khloe, how was your life in the past years? Very good. I've been very happy. Indeed? How did you feel when someone close to you died? What do you mean? Sensing the hidden meaning in Lynn's words, Khloe widened her eyes and demanded, Let me make it simple for you. In the big explosion at the gas station, lots of people died, including your friend named Andrew. Am I correct? Lynn glanced at Khloe expressionlessly. Khloe didn't speak. As far as I know, this child has always been good to you. He detonated a bomb and died for you. Do you feel sorrow for him? Hearing the mention of Andrew, Khloe indeed felt grieved. Even if he was a bad guy who had done lots of evil things, he had never harmed her. He had even tricked Layla by disguising himself as Hunter and saved her life at the last moment. She suddenly remembered the quiet night when they hid in the small village. Andrew had played coy with her and bickered with Justin. All these things seemed to have happened just yesterday, but she knew he was dead. He was so close to the bomb that he was blasted apart, and there was no way that he could have lived. She didn't know why Lynn mentioned Andrew, but she was truly grieved for his death. No words? You're grieved, right? Lynn glanced at Khloe, who remained silent. Yeah, I'm grieved. So what? What's your point? Khloe raised her hand and wiped off the tears threatening to fall down and then looked at Lynn. Khloe, do you want him to come back to life? Come back to life? Are you crazy? He's dead. How can he come back to life? Do you really think you're a god or something? Khloe's voice was frantic, thinking Lynn was talking about the impossible. Lynn only smiled at Khloe's loss of composure. She looked back and waved her hand. An image appeared on the screen. In the image was a man lying in a crystal coffin. As the camera zoomed in, the man's face drew closer until they could see it clearly. No, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. He was blown into pieces. Khloe saw that the face in the crystal coffin resembled Andrew's and found it impossible to accept. He didn't have a complete body. How could he be lying in the coffin intact? Then a thought dawned on her as she remembered an important clue. She looked at Lynn in terror. Another clone? In the city. Khloe was now used to Jack's indifference to her and tried to find ways to harass Justin. As more people disappeared in the hospital, everyone became alarmed. Instead of lying in bed, Khloe took a stroll around in the hospital. When her former colleagues greeted her with Vice Director, she'd give them a lofty face. In the afternoon, when she returned to her ward, Jack was sitting beside the bed. Hun, when did you come? Continuing with her act, she called him Hun sweetly. Where did you go? I just took a stroll to get some fresh air. The doctor said you're almost recovered. Yeah, Khloe smiled. You healed so fast. It's been only a few days. Jack looked her in the eye and said meaningfully, Isn't it normal? I studied health science and know how to take care of myself. It's natural that I heal faster than ordinary people. It's no big deal. Hearing her awkward excuses, Jack didn't expose her. I heard the hospital is in big trouble. Really? What trouble? How come I don't know about it? Khloe played dumb. Many people disappeared here. No one knows if they were killed or kidnapped. Khloe pretended to be in disbelief. No way. Is it true? That's horrible. Is there a psycho killer hiding in here? Shouldn't you know it better than anyone else? With his eyes on her, he said the words slowly. Hearing his words, Khloe looked obviously nervous. She didn't know what he meant and how much he knew about her. So, she had to continue playing dumb. "Haha, hun, you're silly. I'm not a cop. How can I know it?" Khloe retorted. Jack stood up slowly and walked toward her. She remained motionless but looked wary, afraid Jack would attack her suddenly. But she was sure Jack was no match for her, even if he launched a sneaky attack on her. But Jack didn't attack. Instead, he looked at her in concern. "The nurses here like to gossip and must have told you about these things when they changed dressings for you. I'm afraid they exaggerated these things and alarmed you." "No, I won't get alarmed. You know I'm not faint-hearted." "Okay, since you can walk now, come with me to the south side." "Why?" Khloe was surprised. "Cece will have a C-section this afternoon. She hopes you can do it for her. After all, you're an excellent obstetrician." Layla didn't know how to do operations, especially a C-section. Unlike Khloe, she knew nothing about it, so she was at a loss for words. "What's it? You don't want to do it?" "No, I'm still weak and I'm afraid. I might bungle it. You know I'm not at my best lately." Khloe continued to find excuses. "But you did countless operations like this one and have lots of experiences. Only 20% of your previous skills is enough for this surgery. Cece trusts you, and Rick called me asking for your help specifically." I agreed. Obviously, Jack was determined to have her perform the surgery. "Honorable. There are many excellent obstetricians at Southside. I truly can't do it in my current state." It was obvious that she just didn't want to do it and was trying to get out of it with excuses. In fact, if she had to do the surgery, she could finish it with knowledge from the memories of Khloe in her head. But it was too risky. If she made too many mistakes, people might get suspicious. She hadn't finished her mission yet. If she exposed herself and bungled the mission, her master wouldn't be happy. After considering all these factors, Khloe, or Layla, refused to do the surgery. She chickened out. After all, she didn't know how to do surgeries. Khloe was a medical genius, but she wasn't. Jack finally nodded. "Fine, I won't force you. I'll explain to Rick later." "Yeah, hun, tell Rick it's not that I don't want to help Cece. I got it." Jack turned and left without saying goodbye. He looked angry. After he was gone, Khloe was even angrier and threw the pillow to the ground. "Damn! Why should I put up with your bad temper? I thought Khloe had a happy life. What damned happy life is this? He's just an expressionless and cold man. I truly don't know why that stupid woman chose to marry a man like him. He's not as gentle as Justin." Layla was very displeased with Jack. Of course, she didn't know Jack would never treat Khloe in this way. He was cold to Layla because he had seen through her disguise, but Layla didn't know he had found her out. After all, Jack hid things well and concealed his emotions excellently. Now that Jack showed concern to the missing people in the first hospital, she needed to find her prey from another place, otherwise he'd get suspicious. Layla revealed a bloodthirsty smile. It looked very creepy. OB/GYN department. Cece lived close to Southside. Besides, they had heard about the horrible disappearances of children from the first hospital, so her parents made her have the baby in Southside. Rick had no objections and let Cece make the decision. Cece's parents were superstitious and even asked a fortune teller to choose a date and time for the surgery. They chose an excellent surgeon for her. When Jack arrived, he saw Cece's family were all waiting outside the OR. Even Kira, who had been out of the country for a long time, had come back. Jack nodded at them and then walked to a quiet place in the corridor with Rick. "Are you nervous, bro?" Jack asked Rick. "Yeah, I'm nervous. How are you feeling?" "I can't name it. I feel as if I was doing a big deal with the apprehension that cops might catch me out." Rick illustrated his feelings. Jack didn't know if he should cry or laugh, but he knew it wasn't easy for this mafia leader to say these words. As the youngest mix-American mafia godfather in history, Rick was a man who spoke little and showed few emotions. He only babbled in front of Jack. In fact, Rick and Cece didn't ask Khloe to do the surgery since they knew Khloe was recovering from her injury. Jack only said those words to test her. Convinced that she was an impostor, he just wanted to see how much homework she had done and if she had Khloe's expertise as a doctor. For some reason, maybe a connection with his wife, Jack had a feeling that this impostor didn't have medical skills. After all, she seldom went to Southside since she returned. Now his feelings were confirmed. The impostor knew nothing about medical skills, but still tried to pretend to be Khloe. Jack despised her even more. "Jack, what are you thinking?" "I was thinking about my baby." Jack lowered his head. Rick's expression changed slightly. Patting Jack's shoulder, Rick handed him a coffee-scented cigarette. Jack took it calmly. "Bro, don't dwell on it. It's all in the past. You guys will have more babies. You're still young." "Yeah, I'm not sad. It's all in the past." Rick thought Jack was sad about the aborted baby, but in fact, he was only wondering where his Khloe and baby were. He had searched for them for a long time and even interrogated the people bought out by the impostor in Yunnan, but no one knew where Khloe was. No one did. Probably only the impostor knew about it, but it wasn't time to confront her yet. More than 1 hour later, the OR's door opened, and a young nurse walked out with an infant in her arms. "Who's the father?" "I am." Rick walked over in excitement. "Congratulations, it's a girl. She weighs 3,400 grams. "Thank you." Rick took the infant from her arms and his heart almost melted when he looked at the baby. Tiny and wrinkled, she wasn't pretty, but Rick thought his little princess was the most beautiful girl in the world. Cece's parents and elder sister walked over to see the baby too. Watching the touching sight, Jack had complicated feelings inside. He remembered Khloe's date of delivery was several days earlier than Cece's. Now that Cece's baby was born, he wondered how his Khloe and their baby were doing and where they were right now. He wondered if Khloe would be scared or sad when she gave birth to their baby without him staying by her side. Standing in a corner, Jack watched Cece's family silently. Rick couldn't bear to let go of the infant. Cece's mother asked to see the baby 3 times, but he looked as if he didn't hear her. "Rick," Kira reminded him in a loud voice. "Huh?" He finally snapped back to his senses. "Give us the baby. We'll give her a bath. Wait here for Cece. She will want to see you." "Oh, okay." Hearing her instruction, Rick handed the baby to his mother-in-law reluctantly. Holding the baby carefully, Cece's parents and sister walked off. Jack and Rick waited at the door. About 15 minutes later, Cece was pushed out of the OR. With a waxen complexion and messy hair, she had tears in her eyes. Rick walked over immediately and bent to kiss her forehead. "Cece, thank you. Our daughter is very pretty. We're a family of 3 now." "Yeah." Cece nodded as tears came out of her eyes. "Why are you crying? Are you in pain?" Rick was alarmed. Cece shook her head. "Do you feel any discomfort?" Cece still shook her head. The surgeon explained, "Don't worry. Many new mothers are emotional and cry when the babies are born. Congratulations. The baby is healthy, and the operation is successful. Take good care of your wife." "Thank you, doctor." Then Rick pushed Cece back to the ward with Jack. Jack got a phone call and left them. Rick sat by the bed and carefully cleaned Cece's face and hands with a warm towel. "Rick, I'm a mother now." "Yeah, and I'm a father," said Rick. Cece smiled sweetly. "Where's our baby? How come they're not back yet?" "Don't worry. The baby has your parents and sister to take care of her. They said they'd clean the sticky stuff from her body and would come back soon." "I'm not worried. My mom and dad must be exhilarated. But I've got to tell you, our daughter is very filthy." "Haha. The doctor showed her to me and let me kiss her. I thought she was a dirty little thing." Remembering her reaction in the OR, Cece chuckled. "What kind of mom are you? She's just been born and you are disgusted by her already?" "But she was dirty." "Besides, hun, I think she looks like a little monkey. Do you think she'd grow into a sharp-faced girl?" "My goodness. I can't imagine it," said Cece in a small voice. "She looks like a hairy monkey with tiny hair on her ears. What shall we do? Will she be like this when she grows up? Who'd want to marry her?" "Stop it. The baby will not be happy when she hears it," Rick said solemnly. "Ha. She's just been born. How can she understand our words? You overestimate your daughter." Cece found Rick's reaction was super funny and adorable. "Are you in pain?" Rick held Cece's hand tightly. Men couldn't give birth to children, and thus didn't know the pain of going through labor. A doctor once compared the pain during labor with the pain of getting 12 ribs broken at the same time. Few people could bear the pain with ease. With better living standards, people ate better and thus had bigger babies, which were usually over 4,000 grams. It wasn't easy to have natural births, which is why more and more young mothers chose to do C-sections. This method means no labor pain, but leaves an ugly scar in the belly. It wasn't easy to be a mother. Rick wasn't a talker, but he knew Cece had suffered a lot in the process. No, maybe the effect of the anesthetic is still there, so I'm fine right now. Cece smiled and looked much better after the childbirth. Then she thought of something and said, "Give me my cell phone. I want to post the news on my moments." "No, it's bad for your eyes." "Just 1 minute. I'll put the phone down after posting it." "No, you tell me what to say and I'll post it for you." Rick was extra careful with Cece since her mother had told him it was a big deal to take good care of women during the 1 month after the baby was born. If the mother wasn't careful, she'd suffer from lots of illnesses later in her life. Rick took it seriously and was quite strict with Cece. Seeing his tough attitude, Cece gave in. "Fine, post it for me. Did you take a picture of the baby?" "I did." "Okay, post a picture with the words, 'My daughter weighs 3,400 grams. Mother and daughter are both in good health.'" "That's all?" "Yep." "What's the look on your face?" "Nothing. I'll post it now." Rick picked up Cece's cell phone. "Hun, don't forget to edit the picture," Cece instructed. "She's just been born. Is it necessary to edit her picture?" Rick didn't know if he should cry or laugh. "Of course. I want our little princess to look pretty from the first day of her life. Ha ha." Then a thought struck her. "I wish Sister Khloe hadn't lost her baby. She'd deliver her son almost at the same time as I did give birth to our baby. Then we may arrange our daughter to marry their son. Jack was with me a moment ago and just left. He's not in a good mood. Don't mention the baby in front of them. It would be like adding insult to injury." "I know, I won't mention it before them. I just talked about it with you." Jack didn't say it, but I know he is sad. They felt heavy-hearted when they talked about Jack and Khloe. At this moment, the door opened and Cece's mother walked in with the baby in her arms. Cece's sister and father filed in after her with stuff in their hands. "Hun, make formula milk for the baby." "How much?" "The doctor said 30 milliliters is enough." "Do we have water? Dad, didn't I tell you to boil water?" Inexperienced, Kira scrambled to do the task. "I did. The water is kept warm at a fixed temperature. You can use it now." Cece's mom walked to the bed with the baby. "Mom, let me have a look at her. You can see her every day. The most important thing for you is getting good rest." Her mother cherished her and wanted her to sleep. "But I'm not sleepy. Haha. Come on, let me see her." Cece's mother brought the baby to Cece. "Is she asleep?" Cece asked in a whisper. "Yeah, she's very good. She fell asleep after washing twice. She didn't cry even during the bath." Cece's mother couldn't bear to put the baby down. "By the way, have you two named the baby?" Cece's father asked. Cece glanced at Rick. "You tell them." Rick said slowly, "Her name is Christine, but we want to give her a traditional name too. We'll give her mother's family name Nee to her." Hearing his words, Cece's family were all surprised. "This?" Cece's father felt flattered. "She'll have our family name? Great." Kira smiled. "Dad, say something. Are you happy?" Cece stuck out her tongue playfully. "I'm so happy. It's our fortune that our granddaughter is taking our family name." Cece's father grinned with honest joy. Then Rick continued, "I heard there's a naming tradition in the North. If the parents have 3 character names, then the children will have 2 character names." Rick said with a smile, "I plan to give our child a 2-character name with the family name of Nee." "Have you decided on the name?" Kira asked eagerly. "No. Right now, I don't have plans to have another baby. Pregnancy is hard work. Mom, did you suffer so much when you had my sister and me?" Like a spoilt child, she leaned her head into her mother's arms. "In my time, the medical conditions were crude, and we ate poorly too. You each weighed about 1,500 grams when you were born. I thought you'd die." Cece's mother was emotional when she recalled the past. How about a nickname? Cece looked at Rick. Dad, you give the nickname to the baby. To show his respect to his father-in-law, Rick gave the honor to the older man. Hearing Rick's words, his father-in-law was pleasantly surprised. Are you sure? Dad, since they asked you, just do it. Cece's father smiled and said, When I lived with your grandparents in the countryside, I heard people say kids are healthier if we give them down-to-earth nicknames. Haha. Do you want to give her a nickname like Green Flower, Winter Plum, or Little Sweet Potato, etc.? Kira began to make a list of down-to-earth names. Impossible. How can I give my granddaughter such vulgar names? Cece said the baby's formal name is Christine Nee, then I'll give her the nickname of Little Jin. Sis, I think the name is nice. What do you think, Rick? Yeah, I like it too. Rick nodded. So the babies' names were settled. Excited, Rick took out his cell phone to show off his daughter in his moments. But at second thought, he was a mafia leader, and it wasn't wise of him to show off his daughter. After all, he had many enemies and must keep low profile to protect Cece and their daughter. Besides, he had only Jack as his friend in snap moments. If he posted it, he'd make Jack think of his own lost baby. But Rick couldn't suppress his excitement and called his trusted subordinates and even the cook in their home in the States about this good news. He told every one of them, My daughter Christine Nee weighs more than 6 pounds. She's adorable. It was probably the most memorable moment in his life. He began to understand why Jack, a cool and arrogant guy, would become so amiable when he saw his twin daughters. After his daughter was born, he felt the whole world brightened. He couldn't sleep after Cece fell asleep. He was wide awake with bright eyes. He picked up his cell phone and called Jack. Fortunately, Jack was up too. Ever after he came back from Yunnan, his insomnia had returned. After knowing more about the conspiracy, he just couldn't go to sleep. So the two guys did a marathon talk on the phone. At first, they only chatted about things about children. Later, when Rick began to say something important, Jack interrupted him, afraid their conversation was bugged. He drove to the Southside Recuperation Center with beer and snacks. It was 2:30 a.m. Are you going to drink with me? Rick laughed. Of course. We'll celebrate that you became a father today. Rick couldn't see any unusual look on Jack's face. Fine. I'll take your offer. Shall we drink at the rooftop? Rick pointed at the top of the building. No, it's cold out there. I'll take you to one place. Rick followed Jack as the latter walked familiarly from the ward area of the OB/GYN department to the neurological department building through the walkway between the two buildings. At the end of the 5th floor was a cozy-looking office. Jack stopped at the door and took out a key. He unlocked the door and walked in while a familiar feeling rose from his heart. Rick froze for a moment and then said with sudden understanding, Is this Khloe's office? Jack nodded and put the stuff on the table. He sat on Khloe's chair. Rick pulled up a chair and sat opposite to Jack. Khloe had left Southside a long time ago, so the office didn't technically belong to her. However, the office seemed to not have changed one bit. After Khloe left, nobody took over. Everyone seemed like they wanted to wait for Vice Director Green to return. Jack got the key from somewhere and the two snuck in during the middle of the night. Are you sure this is fine? If somebody sees us, that wouldn't be good. Rick was worried about an awkward situation like that occurring. Don't worry, this is already mine. What do you mean? Rick was confused. I already bought Southside. Rick was speechless. Why would you do that? Rick didn't understand. Jack wasn't in need of money and had businesses in almost every industry. Why would he buy a hospital? I plan to gift it to Khloe. Okay, you can do anything with your money, Rick laughed. Jack was rarely impulsive, but if he got to that point, normal people couldn't understand his intentions. So call and tell her now. She must be very happy. Rick didn't know about Khloe being switched, and Jack didn't mention it. No hurry. Right. How's the investigation going? Anything about Fiona? Jack changed the topic and asked about Fiona. Not yet, but there's news going around that Fiona is dead, and Riker took over for her. After Riker succeeded her position, he stopped taking jobs. Nobody knows what he's doing in Fiona's base. I heard that Riker's father was outraged, thinking that his son betrayed his family. He isn't allowed back for the rest of his life. There are people saying that Riker didn't have much of an inheritance anyways. Fiona's money is the real catch. He could live in luxury for the rest of his life. Riker doesn't care about that. He only cares if Fiona can return safely. Jack knew what Riker was like despite the few times they've met. However, he trusted his judgment. I feel like the man Fiona likes would not take advantage of the situation. I'm just hoping for news about Fiona. I need her, Jack said. Are you in contact with your father-in-law yet? Rick suddenly asked. Jack shook his head. Did you choose a name for your daughter yet? Christine Nee. Great name. Did you pick it? Jack looked at Rick. No, how could I? Cece picked it. It sounds good. Jack, let it go. I know you don't feel good. Rick didn't know how to comfort people, so he didn't know what to say. Let's stop bringing it up. Come, let's drink. Just like that, the two men hid in the office of the vice director of Southside's neurology department. Jack didn't buy a lot of alcohol. He was tipsy after 4 or 5 bottles because of his low mood. Rick felt a little dizzy too, and Cece called him after waking up in the middle of the night. So he stumbled out. After Rick left, Jack fell asleep on Khloe's desk. Then he had a very magical dream. In his dream, Khloe was back. She had on a white doctor's coat and black-framed glasses. Her hair was shorter too, just like what it was when he first returned to the country. She was holding a little boy's hand. Honey, say Daddy. The boy looked at Jack and called him Daddy. Is this our child? He's still here, right? Jack excitedly extended his hand and tried to touch the child's face. The moment he touched it, the child disappeared. Khloe disappeared too. Khloe! Jack suddenly awoke from the dream and looked around. He was still in the office with empty alcohol bottles on the table. Nobody ever entered. It was all a dream. Jack got up and wiped away tears. Then he lowered his head and began cleaning, leaving it spotless. If Khloe came back and found out that she could work again, her expression would be worth it. The next morning. After Case went to work, Zuri brought Tiani to Brenton's house. Brenton left for work early. It was the weekend, so Victoria and her son got up relatively late. When Zuri arrived, they still hadn't had breakfast. Zuri, you're here. Victoria, I'm here to bug you for breakfast. Zuri laughed. Welcome. Come, Tiani, this is Auntie. Hello, Auntie. Tiani had a sweet mouth. Seeing the child only made Victoria pause for a second, but then she smiled. Tiani is here, that's great. I made grilled sausages for Kenneth. It's delicious. Come try some. Okay, thank you, Auntie. Auntie, where's my nephew? Looking around, Zuri couldn't see Kenneth. He's showering. He showers in the morning? Every weekend, he wakes up early to shower and wash his hair. He's much better than your brother in terms of hygiene. Victoria was busy organizing things. The maid was cleaning as well. Brenton's house was decorated in a traditional American style. It wasn't luxurious, but it was very unique. It was Victoria's favorite style, and Zuri liked it here too, so she came over often. Especially after she made up with her brother, she sometimes brought Case over for dinner. After a bit, the breakfast was ready. Victoria was just about to go call her son when Kenneth walked down the stairs in a blue robe. His hair wasn't completely dry, it was sticking up in a cool way. Look at my handsome nephew. Zuri got up and picked up Kenneth. Auntie, you're here so early today? I'm here to bug you for your breakfast, Zuri laughed. We do have a sumptuous breakfast. How very smart of you. Haha, kiddo. You got heavier. Zuri liked Kenneth just as much as Avery liked the twins. She treated him as her own son and looked at him dotingly. At that moment, Kenneth noticed that there was another guest. He glanced towards Tiani. Zuri introduced, Kenneth, Tiani is on her vacation and she doesn't have any playmates. You should play together. That would make Auntie really happy. Kenneth didn't say anything. Instead, he turned to look at Victoria. Mom, can we eat? I'm so hungry. Okay, it's ready. Come sit. Victoria spent the entire morning preparing food with the maid. Zuri knew that she could get a delicious breakfast, so she woke up early in the morning. She drove Tiani straight here. Zuri and Tiani sat on the right, while Victoria and Kenneth sat on the left. The table was filled with an assortment of Western and Oriental breakfast dishes. Victoria picked up a sausage with her fork and placed it on Tiani's plate. Here, try Auntie's cooking. Thank you, Auntie. It looks super delicious. Can I take a picture and post it? Tiani looked obedient, but Victoria didn't really like her because of her mother. The child had gone through a lot at such a young age, and now she was sucking up to Zuri. She was bound to become a schemer when she grew up. However, Victoria liked Zuri, since after all, they were sisters-in-law. Normally, Zuri spoiled Kenneth, so for Zuri, Victoria pretended to accept the child. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Auntie. After Tiani said that, she began taking photographs with her phone. Kenneth took a look at her phone, then at his aunt. She's using the newest model. Auntie, did you buy it for her? What? Do you want one too? No, I was just asking. Tiani broke her phone at school, so I bought a new one for her now that she's on holiday. I don't even know how to use this model, but Tiani says that the resolution is good or something. Auntie will buy you one later. I don't need one. Mine works great. After speaking, Kenneth lowered his head and ate silently. Victoria, what are your plans today? If you're free, do you want to come to a hot spring with us? Not today. Kenneth has to go to South Hill Manor in a bit. He promised to play with Pudding and Little Bean, and Ethan will be there too. Zuri was in a hard position. Mommy, Zuri, it's okay. We'll come play with Kenneth another day. We can go to the hot spring and send pictures to Daddy. Okay. Zuri thought that Tiani was mature and knew how to analyze the situation. Why didn't Zuri ask to go to South Hill Manor? It was because of the history between Brenny and Khloe. She heard that Tiani was involved in the twins' kidnapping once, so to avoid awkwardness, she didn't ask to go. After breakfast, Kenneth was video calling Pudding. Kenneth said, Pudding, I already ate breakfast and I'm going to head out in a bit. Do you need me to pick up food for your baby golden retriever? Pudding said, No, my daddy bought a lot of food for it. It can't even finish all of it. Kenneth replied, What else do you need? My mom and I are going to pass by a supermarket on the way there. Pudding replied, No, we have everything, so just come. We're having hot pot for lunch. My grandparents prepared a lot of fresh food for us. Kenneth said, That's wonderful. Hot pot is best eaten in cold weather. The two were having a fun chat. Tiani suddenly walked out behind Kenneth. Kenneth, do you want a lollipop? I brought it back from the capital. We don't have this brand here. It's really yummy. When Pudding saw Tiani behind Kenneth, her expression changed slightly. I don't want it. Kenneth turned around and rejected her coldly. It's really delicious. Try it, Kenneth. Her voice was so unnaturally sweet, she must have done it on purpose. No, and I'm on a video call. Can you move away? Kenneth impolitely shook his head and looked at Tiani. Sorry for interrupting. Tiani put on a wronged face and left the camera. Kenneth turned around and found that Pudding had hung up. He sent her a message explaining the situation. He wrote, Pudding, are you mad? She replied, Why is she at your house so early in the morning? Kenneth said, My aunt brought her over for breakfast. Pudding replied, Okay. Kenneth said, I'm not close with her. Pudding said, If you weren't close, why did she say your name like that? Pudding put on a face of disbelief. Kenneth said, She's like that. She puts on a sweet voice with everyone. She talks like that with my mom, too. Pudding said, She's really something. Kenneth replied, So let's not get mad at this, okay? Pudding wrote, Why would I bother? See you later. Kenneth replied, See you. Seeing that Pudding didn't really take it to heart, Kenneth let out a breath of relief. However, he really hated her auntie's new daughter. He didn't like girls like her at all. After breakfast, Zuri drove Tiani to a hot spring. Victoria brought her son to South Hill Manor. On the way there, the mother and son had a talk. Kenneth said, Mom. Victoria replied, What? Kenneth said, What do you think about my auntie? What do you mean? Kenneth replied, Her intelligence. Victoria said, She's average. Kenneth said, Why do I think she's below average? Victoria asked, What makes you say that? Kenneth answered, Don't you think the child she brought was scheming something? Victoria said, I thought so. What? You noticed it too? He answered, It was super obvious. She's going to be the biggest schemer when she grows up. I don't know why Auntie is being tricked so easily. Victoria said, It's obvious. Your auntie can't do anything in her position. She's accepting the child because of your uncle. She's not to blame. Kenneth asked, Why is Uncle Chase raising someone else's child? He should donate to charities instead. Victoria said, That's their business, not ours. What? Did Tiani piss you off? You seem to be against her. Kenneth answered, No, I just have a bad impression towards her. I can't like her at all. Victoria said, You never liked anyone other than Pudding. Kenneth blushed lightly. Mom, focus on driving. Safety first. Kenneth put on a formal tone. Victoria became silent. Khloe wasn't home, so Victoria just dropped her son off. Coincidentally, when she left, Sarah was dropping off Ethan too. After the two met, they decided to go shopping. Sarah had been bored, and her eyes lit up when she heard shopping. So, the two drove to the most famous luxury mall in the city. Sarah was in a hurry this morning. She was wearing an unbranded wool sweater and casual pants that she had bought from the internet. Her average outfit gave the saleswoman at the luxury section a bad impression towards her. At the Chanel counter, Sarah touched a new bag. The saleswoman immediately wiped it down. When Sarah touched another one, the saleswoman wiped it down too. Anyways, she wiped whichever one Sarah touched. Also, her face was cold. She didn't have any enthusiasm at all. This behavior was normal, actually. The saleswomen at luxury stores were all like this. They first judge the customers when they walk in. They put on an enthusiastic face if you were wearing all luxury brands. If you were dressed normally, their faces remained cold. After all, it wasn't like you could afford it. Victoria couldn't take it anymore and wanted to lecture the saleswoman. Sarah stopped her. Smiling, she kept on touching bags. Finally, smiling, Sarah turned around and said to the saleswoman, Please wrap up all the bags I touched. What? That woman thought she heard wrong, so she asked again. Sarah was still smiling. Maybe you'll understand a bit more if I put it this way. Wrap up every bag you wiped down. I want them all. The saleswoman turned around and looked at the bags she wiped. There were at least 7. Excuse me, madam, do you want these 7? Yes. Do you want me to wrap them up now? Yes, but I have a request, Sarah said. Please, the saleswoman was excited. Even though this city was filled with rich people, there weren't many who bought 7 bags at once. It was a big purchase. Those bags, before you wrap them up, you must wipe them thoroughly. After all, you seem to like wiping bags. Sarah's words made the woman's face redden. She wanted to hide. She was looking down on Sarah, thinking that she was a stay-at-home mother who was only browsing. So not only did she have a bad attitude, she wiped whichever one Sarah touched. It was quite discriminatory. So when Sarah struck back, she didn't have any words. Why aren't you speaking? Is there a problem? If you won't agree to it, I might not make the purchase. No, don't worry. I'll wipe them all for you. Very good. Get going now. Sarah bought 7 bags at once at Chanel. Altogether, she spent $420,000. It was quite a large sum of money. Noah didn't make much as the director anyways. Of course, Sarah didn't use her husband's money. Sarah had been working while she took care of her son. Furthermore, Noah came from an affluent family. The Ace family gifted them their house and car when they got married. When Sarah had Ethan, her parents-in-law were beyond ecstatic. In their moment of joy, Sarah's mother-in-law bought 8 properties at once as a gift for Sarah. Once, Khloe said to Sarah with a smile, Landlord, you don't have to worry about anything for the rest of your life. You can rent out the properties and make hundreds of thousands in a month. Even though Sarah didn't marry into rich and grand families like Victoria and Khloe, she could afford to buy 7 Chanel bags at once. Until they walked out of the store, Victoria was still pumped of adrenaline. Haha, Sarah, what you did was so cool. I'm amazed. These people need a lesson. They think they're better than others because they sell luxury items. So, Mrs. Millionaire, where are we going now? Are you going to treat me to a feast? Victoria laughed. How about we go to the first hospital? We'll get some takeout food and eat with Khloe, Sarah suggested. Thanks for tuning in to the Cool Audio Podcast. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a fellow story lover. Until next time, stay cool and keep listening.